Hey everybody, welcome to another video this week, and I'm actually especially excited about this one because we are going to be reunited with an old friend of ours. Do you remember back in 2020 we posted a few videos with our friend Joe from down in Ithaca? Joe had his own vegan homestead and we did a little tour of his greenhouse. It was a great experience for me. I learned a lot. It was a lot of fun, and actually it's one of the most viewed videos on this channel. So I'm really excited that we're going to be hanging out with him again. He actually lives out in New Hampshire now, so we're going to be checking him out at his new place, starting from scratch, building his vegan homestead from square one, and we want to bring you along with the journey. So without further ado, check this video out.
Hey everybody, it's been a while. I thought that this would be a good time to give a little tiny bit of an update. It's, as you can tell, drizzling outside. Since I last saw John, I've relocated and I'm now starting from scratch building a brand new homestead. Well, soon to be building a homestead, and I'm doing it in the forests of central New Hampshire. The very first thing I did was I started building a very small house that I can move into by the road, which I'm about 80% done with. And I also started doing a small clearing out back in the woods where I'm at now. And you can see here that I'm also inside of a high tunnel that I purchased before they tripled in price right at the end of 2020. And this is actually a farmer's friend 14 by 100 Gothic arch caterpillar tunnel is what they call it. This tunnel, I think, is one of the more cost-effective tunnels that you can find. And because I'm working almost predominantly alone, I have been really struggling to find a balance between building a comfortable place to stay while I'm also trying to rapidly increase my food security and my resilience. And I'm also trying to begin the process of getting very good at propagating plants, because I have found it very difficult to buy some of the plants that I would like to grow and like to have. So I am doing everything I can to run around and to try to source elderberries and aronia berries and all kinds of things. And I'm lucky to get one or two every now and then, and I'm planting them. As I give you a small tour of what's happening, I want you to view everything you see as a nearly solo work in progress, to something I'm only able to allocate a decent but still a fraction of my time to actually getting done, and 3, have a modest amount of immediate and short-term food security. But what I'm really trying to do is set myself up to continue propagating abundance next year in particular and the years to follow. Everything you see, understand it from the context of one person working mostly alone, while very much having to split my time between many different things, and a very difficult to find balance between immediate self-sufficiency and resilience, but also allocating a significant proportion of my time and energy to trying to just gather as much plant diversity as I possibly can around me, and basically building a large nursery. That's what I'm calling it, for lack of a better term. Nursery or propagation garden or a crap hit the fan garden for the next 5 years, whatever you want to call it. It'll make more sense when you see what's going on. So right now I'll give you a brief walk around the high tunnel, and I'll show you what I've got going on in here. You can see I've got tools and all kinds of stuff behind me here, but I'm devoting about 2/3 of this high tunnel into food production and propagation. What you're seeing, it's actually looking pretty decent already, but this is not really yet planted. And I'll show you more of what I'm saying. What is still in here is some cover crops and also some other crops that'll be coming out within the next several weeks. And then a whole bunch of food is going to be planted in here. And so everything you see is going to be kind of in a state of transition, and I apologize for my messes. This is where the majority of my clippings go, and my wastes, and a little bit of clean paper products. You can see that I've got some volunteer peas just erupting out of this, and I'm letting them grow. I've got some volunteer potatoes. I'm just going to let them go. This compost pile here is predominantly just organic material that will not hopefully attract too many rodents or pests. And this is the precise reason why you see this composting system happening inside this tote. chipmunks and mice are not able to get in here, and so the food has time to decompose without me exacerbating, potential rodents. And I've got some plants here that need to be planted. Kaffir lime, I just could not resist it. And there's a blueberry bush that's got to go in. And I've got lanthan raspberries. I have a couple cloth pots of Jerusalem artichoke. And I found a hash cap at a nursery. I'm very surprised to see hash cap. And so I had to buy it. Couldn't resist. Not sure where it's going to go. And over here, I've got some weird stuff going on. I have ginger planted right there, and the ginger already actually sent up and is now dying back down, and it's now sending up new shoots, and you can see them right there, right there. There's the new ginger shoots, and I am hoping that I can substantially increase my ginger supply. I actually think that ginger is a pretty decent homestead plant, and I think it's also very useful. And something else I thought was fun to show you. I saw this leaf protruding out of this little bed right here for 2 months. It was green, it never got any bigger than this. This is as big as it got. And then once this leaf started to yellow, I said, I want to figure out what this is. And what happened was right here at the end of that little white stem right there was one tiny little potato. Isn't this amazing? So this one little leaf, all spring for 2 or 3 months just sat here. For whatever reason, perhaps it was damaged, it was unable to multiply itself. It made one little potato. I'm actually just really enamored by what I'm seeing here, because this is, it's not actually that small. And this one individual leaf made this. And this really kind of underpins my whole philosophy here, that all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to set systems and set wheels in motion that will basically propagate themselves. And all I get to do is just occasionally show up and manage and pick and occasionally pull a little weed here and there. Not very often, like this little thing. And I want nature to take over, and I want what these plants are all trying to do this hard. This wanted to grow so badly that it made it happen with this one leaf. It's just simply unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Over here we have some volunteer potatoes from the potatoes I planted in the late fall, and it did work. I've got a lemongrass. I have, I believe, lanthan red raspberries. Now I know raspberries in a high tunnel seem crazy. However, I got this plant given to me when it was far too late in the season last year to put this in the ground. I put it here, and it has produced no less than 20 suckers. I call these suckers, this right here. No less than 20 suckers like this. And you can see here, I've been cutting them out, and I've been transplanting them outside. And yeah, they suffer quite a bit of transplant shock. This one plant's going to kickstart, what will eventually be 100 feet of raspberries. And this particular variety is a nearly thornless variety, and I haven't even seen what the berries look like, but I'm very excited about it. These strawberries have just been going absolutely bonkers, and I've already been eating a lot of strawberries this year. I've been eating strawberries for 3 weeks already, and they're just getting bigger and bigger. You can see here, kind of got some chaos going on. This plant that you see right here, that's kind of coming up like this is actually winter rye that I cut down. And you can see it over here. This is all winter rye. So the philosophy here is pretty simple. So you see what's going on right here? See how I have these hot peppers, and the hot pepper is planted inside of this big belt of winter rye. And so what I'm doing is I'm pushing the winter rye down with various different tools, just like you see right there. I'm laying it down. You can even see right there, it's laying down. And then I'm spreading the winter rye apart like this. I'm spreading it apart like so. And I'm planting in here. And then I'm trying to continue smothering the winter rye before it turns into straw. before it completely dries out. I'm trying to get it covered, and I want the winter rye to decompose. I want the decomposition with the carbonaceous wood chips to produce a tiny amount of heat, and also to begin feeding a explosion of decomposition activity right on the surface of the soil. This, I believe, is going to be an interesting technique. I will let you know how it goes. I think it's going to actually go quite well because the winter rye turns into increasing organic matter. I did not disturb the roots at all, with the exception of where I'm actually planting the plants that I'm trying to grow. And the winter rye, however, though, when you terminate it at the correct time, the plant will senesce and you will hopefully be allowing the roots of the winter rye to begin the process of decomposition and releasing the sugars and starches into the soil, which will then be able to be absorbed by the new and spreading roots of the plants that you're trying to grow. I also believe this will produce a very limited amount of disturbance inside of the food soil fungal network. I'm sure there's going to be some downsides, but I'm running with it for now. Here's a little batch of winter rye that I'm actually letting hopefully go and actually produce seeds, just so that if I'm unable to buy winter rye seeds in the future, I will be able to have at least a small amount to restart this process. You can see I have a whole bunch of kale seeds. These are actually winter boar kale that I let stay in the greenhouse and go to seed. And I'm just letting it go, and I'm going to wait another week or so until I believe that these seed pods are sufficiently filled out. And then I'm going to cut the plants off at ground level, and I'm going to plant right through. And one of the reasons why I let the brassicas that were in here go is because this landscape I'm in was a forest, and you'll be able to see some examples as I shoot some more videos. And this young forest landscape that I'm working with has very little flowers. I'm using the brassicas going to seed as a way to bring in some beneficial insects and some early pollinators. I also was able to go and purchase a couple marigolds and things like that I also have kind of spread around the property. You can see here I've got garlic that was planted in November of last year, and it's actually doing quite well. The garlic is already producing scapes, and now understand this is only July 2nd of 2022, and I'm already getting ready. In fact, today I'm probably going to pull some of these scapes already. Even though this high tunnel was never heated or anything, it's still giving me that much of an advance, probably at least about a month on the growing season. Over here, I got tomatoes, and you can see the winter rye underneath here. Same process. These tomatoes have only been in here for about 6 days. So far, they're taking the transplant really, really well. Here's a bunch more brassicas. I've got some pots over here, some fabric pots that just have some potatoes that I just could not resist planting. Here's some more potatoes too. And you can see some just peas, and you can just start just random flowers and random plants starting to grow out of the compost that I'm bringing out of the black tub over there and using a small amount because I only have a small amount. And yet again, what's going to be happening with this entire growing space here is the same thing that happened with my last homestead, with the exception of importing some kind of organic material like wood chips. What I mean by importing is a significant proportion of the materials I'll have will be on site, but I did make a good relationship with a local arborist who is occasionally bringing me a truckload or two of arborist wood chips. And so I'm adding them, I'm adding them when I can, but besides that, I'm importing no other fertility of any kind. I will be exclusively using what I produce on site, with the exception of the wood chips and seeds, basically. So seeds and wood chips are coming into the property, and I'm going to be using that to do everything that I'm doing.
All right, I want to stop it right there at the end of the Caterpillar Tunnel tour because there's so much more amazing information in the next few videos. I don't want it to get forgotten. So let me know if you have any questions for Joe. Leave them in the comments below. Maybe once we're done touring his property, we can set up a live Q&A together, and we can ask him some of the questions that we have along the way. I hope you like this video, and I will see you in the next one.